A crate is opened by three guys. They find a note, and one of the guys says not to touch it as it belongs to Jin Man. But the guy who was taking the stuff out of the crate ignores him and opens the bag to find guns hidden in the bag of rice. A different crate is opened in a new location, and Minhee is hidden inside the crate. She hands over a phone with a message asking the person who opened the crate to look after her for a little while. Jin Man is with his family taking a family portrait. His mother is lying in her hospital bed looking at the family portrait. She tells Jin Man to be good to his brother and sister-in-law. She wants him to not worry about her and that he has grown into a fine young man. A package is dropped off and is taken to the back of the hardware store. Hidden in the back is Minhee, who is eating some food. Honda is going through the box and is ignoring Minhee, who is clearing up the mess he is making. Honda sees someone suspicious on a security camera and heads out to check it out. It's Jiman who is moaning about the security being sloppy for an arms dealer. Minnie is surprised to see Jinman and runs and gives him a hug. While she is sleeping, Jinman and Honda are looking through some photos. They're talking about Bell and that even though his body wasn't found, that he should be dead. Honda asks Jinman what he's going to do now. He tells him to work for him and that he will expand the business to an online shopping mall. Honda says he will get his brother to create a site as he is a computer genius. He also tells Jinman that Minhee had assembled a gun earlier and that he had never taught her. While Jinman's mum is in her bed sleeping, Belle stands beside her bed. Sonjo is telling some of the guys about a scenario he had come up with. He says there is no way that Jinman won't show up. One of the guys doesn't want to harm the family, especially his 7-year-old niece. He is quickly threatened that his family could also be killed. Back in a hospital, and Belle is strangling Jinman's mum. The doctors rush in, but it is too late to save her. At her funeral, Jinman tells his brother that there was something strange about how their mum died and that they should do an autopsy. His brother doesn't want to do that as he believes it was down to her failing health. Jinman takes Jian home as she was complaining when they were setting up for the funeral. As they drive away, Songjo is driving into the car park. He has the cameras wiped of his presence. He goes to the funeral hall for Jinman's mum. His brother asks who he is and Sonjo tells him that he is a friend of his brother. He asks them for help moving some reefs and takes them to the roof. Although suspicious, they stayed while Sonjo makes a phone call. He tells the person on the phone that Jeong Min left with his niece. Jinman's sister-in-law spots some people on a roof. One of them stands up and it is Bale. Still convinced something is wrong, Jinman asks Honda to check the security cameras at the hospital. Jinman's sister-in-law is moaning. She's lying on the floor, badly hurt and trying to crawl towards her husband. He is also lying on the floor. They are planning on blaming her murder on her husband by saying he found out that she had an affair and that he killed her in a rage before killing himself. She watches helplessly as they kill their husband before Songjo kills her as well. Back at home, Jian is watching a documentary with Jiman before he gets a call. It's Junchul who tells him Bale is alive and heading for his mum's funeral with Sonjo. Jiman messages Honda and tells him that Bale is alive and after his family and he needs him to protect Jian. On his way out, Honda is stopped by brother who asks where he is going as he promised to eat food with him. Honda tells his brother he will be back before dinner. Jian asks Jinman if he will be alright and he tells her he will be right back. Jinman is driving back to the hospital and he is trying to call his brother but has no answer. Meanwhile, Honda arrives at his brother's house, just in time to stop the guy trying to break into the house. Just when he gets the door open and is about to enter, he is pulled back by Honda and they have a fight in front of the door. They looked evenly matched at first, but then Honda is able to get the upper hand and knocks him out. He enters the apartment and shows Jian the text with the answer to her riddle. Sonjo and another mercenary has arrived. Sonjo tells the other guy to go inside, while Honda tells Jian to hide in her room. The mercenary is in the house and he is surprised by Honda who jumps out at him. Sonjo hears some gunshots. Honda is shot and he crawls away for cover. Sonjo arrives and pulls out a hatchet out of his jacket. He surprises Honda and manages to corner him in the kitchen. They have a fight, but it's not long before Honda is thrown out of the kitchen. Meanwhile, Jinman is driving in a tunnel when he comes across a car that is broken down. The car makes sure to cut off both lanes. The lady with the broken down car tries to ask Jinman for help, but he quickly tries to reverse and a truck drives into Jinman's car which collides with the broken down car. Back in the apartment, Jian opens the door a crack to see what is happening and happens to witness Sonjo cutting off Honda's hand. Jinman is in the car and the van opens up to a group of mercenaries who start shooting at his car. He ducks for cover and makes his way to the back of the car. They stop shooting and Jin Man opens the boot and starts shooting back at the group with the machine gun. Jin Man manages to sneak up on one of the shooters who was taking cover. He quickly disarms them before stabbing them in the hand. He asks them about Belle being alive, but he doesn't get an answer as they have been shot. Sonjo looks out of the window and sees Jian hanging from a pipe. He tries to tell her to come up, but she lets go and lands on some furniture below before running away. After she is hit by the truck, Sonjo makes a phone call telling someone that they may be in a bind. Minnie is looking at the security cameras and she sees some unknown guys going into the hardware store. They are making a way to where she is hiding in the back. She overhears them talking about killing Honda and that they are there to kill her. Minhee uses one of the traps on one of the guys which poured acid on them before shooting both of the guys. She makes sure they are both dead before setting a failsafe and leaves. Passin has gone home and he noticed the lock on the door has been broken. He slowly makes his way into the house and sees a passed out Jin Man who has been shot. Passin gets to work on removing the bullet. Passin tells Jin Man that he doesn't want to be involved and that he should leave. Jin Man asks Passin for a gun. Passin asks Jin Man why he tried to kill Belle. He says that he wanted to set things straight and that if he had testified properly in court, Belle would be in jail and the women he killed on their last mission would be alive. Belle is being updated on what happened with them trying to kill Minhee. He is not happy that they failed and that she got away. Their general has arrived and he asks them to stop what they are doing. Belle knows that even if they stop now, that Jin Man won't. Babylon has deemed Jin Man a traitor and the general tells Belle that they would deal with Jin Man. In the hospital, Jian has woken up and she senses something is wrong and has hidden and manages to run away just as someone has entered her room. She finds herself in the morgue and she goes into one of the freezers. Jin Man has arrived and has taken out the surveillance team. He sees on the camera where one of the men are headed and he heads there. Just as the door to the freezer was about to be open, Jin Man arrives and starts shooting at the guy. They have a fight with neither one of them having the upper hand until Jin Man manages to knock out the guy he was fighting. He opens up the freezer and grabs Jian. He sees his sister-in-law's dead body. Belle is at the hospital and he spots Jin Man and Jian. He pulls out his gun but is stopped by people entering a funeral hall. Jin Man uses the distraction to get away. The general has gone home and is greeted by his grandson. He is told that a friend is waiting for him. He sees Jin Man in the house playing with his grandson. He tells his family that he forgot Jin Man was coming over. Jin Man puts a gun on the table and tells the general he has 5 bullets, one for each of his family, and that he had been in the house for an hour and hadn't killed anyone in his family. Jin Man tells him that he lost 4 people and that should be enough punishment for what he did. The general calls Belle and tells him that Jin Man would stop and asks if Belle would stop as well. Jin Man is at Passin's house with Jian, who is asleep. They discuss what Jin Man plans to do and he says that he will need a long-term plan. They are at the land that will become home to Jin Man and will also hide the shopping mall. Jin Man goes to Honda's house and tells brother he will live with him now. Minhee is leaving work and is being followed by someone. She comes out of the shadows and points a gun at them. It's Passin who quickly disarms her. He hands it back to her and asks if it's Honda's. Jin Man brings Jian home and he watches her sleep from the camera in the underground shopping mall. Passin begins training Minhee. Belle is in the shopping range practicing and he imagines seeing Jin Man and it turns out that it was just a bad dream Jin Man was having. Jin Man sees Jian practicing shooting with a slingshot before he goes outside and teaches her how to assemble a gun. That's it for the reaction for Shop for Killers. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and stay tuned for the next recap.